I would say we're reaching a pinnacle here, right? The powers that be do not necessarily always play in your favor, right? Especially for the younger folks when you're still in your developmental phases. I'm talking microplastics in the water, I'm talking xenoestrogens, I'm talking screens, which have been, in a sense, evolutionarily, well, evolved to be like crazy freaking addicting. I mean, let's be real. Reverse time back to when you were 10 years old. Give your 10-year-old self an iPad with TikTok on it and Instagram. What are the odds that you're going to put that thing down for freaking any reason? Yeah, probably zero, right? And then, everybody's staying inside all day. Not ideal. Not freaking ideal. But I can say this with certainty, right? You have a weapon to fight the powers that be, which are trying to slow you down. And you know what it is? I tell you something. Honestly, I'd say probably of equal value, cardio machines and weights. Dude, if you freaking move your system around, and you don't have to just lift. I mean, that's my physical activity of choice. But if my thing wasn't working out, I would still want to have something, right? Like any kind of physical endeavor at all. Like the more you can move your body around, actually burn the energy that you consume, I think you're putting yourself in a better situation, right? Because I think every study imaginable would be completely tilted in the favor of adding exercise as a basic general health boost compared to just removing any one single detriment of your routine, right? I mean, let's say you take two groups. You make one group lift, and then you make the other group remove Red 40 from their diet. Who's going to see more improvements? Of course, this is still bad, but this is so good and almost completely counteracts or not counteracts, but kind of dwarfs the benefits that you get from cutting anything out there, And I guess that's kind of my take whenever I see anybody comment or go, or not comment, but like have a heated argument about real minute details of like lifestyle and diet and everything else. It's like, dude, if you exercise pretty hard on a consistent basis and you get, I don't even know, however many minutes of elevated heart rate, whatever cardio zone it may be throughout the week, I mean, dude, anybody who's really gotten into fitness like that, they know not to stress out over the details. Except for the guys who go like full on off-grid homestead, completely organic, grow all their own food, eat no processed anything, and I'd probably argue they're a bit better for it. I'm kind of improving my diet slowly as well. Maybe I'm just falling for the fear mongering of news outlets and like social media dogging on all the chemicals and processes of everything. But no, I think that's totally that's just a better move. So kind of like I've been saying this before. This bulking phase, same as the last one compared to my last bulk 2 bulking phases ago. Because when I'm dieting, the diet's pretty freaking clean. I'm talking really not much junk at all, except for like occasion as like kind of a cheat day style thing. But for the most part, I'm not concerned with my food quality when I'm dieting, because the only foods I can kind of eat are quality, right? I mean, I'm eating only whole protein sources, egg whites, ground beef, ground turkey, canned tuna, and then for rice, I mean, I just don't have that, or for carbs, I just don't have that much at my freaking disposal. I mean, it's hard to get to 100 grams of carbs evenly throughout the day unless it's all coming from like just friggin' straight up vegetables or rice cakes, which I would say are pretty much in the green in terms of our subjective health analysis. But bulking wise, less treats the better, in the sense that I want more of my meals to look pretty classic bodybuilding style, right? I'm talking pastas, I'm talking rice, I'm talking potatoes, I'm talking, well, the protein isn't going to change, right? Ground beef, eggs, tuna, turkey, like that's kind of just a staple. There's no getting around the protein, right? I want those to be solid ass whole protein sources. But if I'm gonna reach a point where I'll be eating like 800 grams of carbs a day, it's just going to be easier to get that through my system if it's, plainer, simpler foods. And that's something which has taken me a while to, wrap my freaking head around. But, that's kind of the whole shtick I'm trying to get at. Right? You got to try your own stuff, improve your routine gradually over time, and then before you know it, you're going to catch yourself being a freaking smart fella, right? Instead of a fart smelling. So, when it comes to this lift tonight, I'm feeling reasonably carved up, and I think this will be bulk day one. Yeah, because this last week has kind of been just like a rebound from the show itself, but I think I'm just about at homeostasis. So I'll weigh myself in the morning tomorrow, and that will be essentially day one of this bulking phase's weight. I'm not going to post it every day because it's going to look like this, but I will track it on a spreadsheet, and then we'll be able to look at the graph every so often and see what the weight gain progress is like. So calorie wise, I got to look at my averages over this last few days of how much I've been eating, but I'm gonna kind of level it out probably around 3,000, 3,500 a day or so, and then I should steadily gain weight for a period of time. And once I can tell either that food is going down very easily, or I can kind of notice that my weight gain is beginning to slow a touch or even plateau, then that's my cue, right? More food. So I'll probably up it to, I don't know if I need to up it 500. Usually that's what I do historically. I up it about 500 calories every time I increase my calories. But I think that might be too big of a jump. So I think I might limit it a little bit more to maybe just 300. So that would be about an extra, well, not about, an extra 75 grams of carbs a day. And sometimes my fats and carbs kind of fluctuate. I think I'm going to try to be a bit more consistent and make sure that every day, if I have allotted, 110 grams of fats or 100 grams of fats, then I don't go over that limit, and make sure the rest of my calories are coming from carb sources. So historically, I've had no problem of bulking harder and more successfully, bulk after bulk after bulk after bulk, but I want this one to blow the other ones out of the water. So the way that I'm planning on doing that is potentially extending it a little longer, but not arbitrarily. What I mean is with a slower increase of calories over time, not totally just like, almost stressing out my system too quick. And then that should kind of result in maybe not too much of a slower weight gain over time, but a much more steady weight gain. So, if on previous bulks, when I jumped straight to 5,000 calories a day off the rip, maybe I gained 3 pounds a week for the first 3 months. Or, whoa, no, maybe not. 3 pounds, 3 months. No. Well, let's say 2.5 pounds a week for the first 3 months or so. Very steady, very quick. But what if a half pound a week was just straight up body fat? That's not cool. That sucks. I want to get big, but I don't want to get, big for no reason. I'm trying to build muscle tissue, not just straight up fat tissue, I mean, that's just the nature of bulking. I'm going to get softer, but I don't have to get softer than I need to. So this one's going to be a little more steady, not so abrupt, and by increasing my calories, I think by smaller amounts, more evenly over time, it should allow me to keep pushing the, calorie surplus and kind of just bulking phase further and more continuously. That's kind of my hypothesis. And I might end up having a little bit of a mini cut maintenance phase in the middle. We'll just have to see, right? Because let's say I get to a point where this is like way too much freaking food. I got to give myself a break. But I still think I can leverage some more muscle growth by maintaining the bulking phase. Maybe I take 3 weeks or a month, back off on the calories a little bit, just kind of reach, my new maintenance, just hang out, and then try to push calories even further. A lot of ways to go about it, and I'm gonna see if I can absorb some intel from some other characters and potentially get some more experience just from learning from their wisdom, right? Because obviously a smart dude is gonna learn from his own mistakes, and experiences and everything else, right? But the extra smart guy, the wise man, he's going to learn from other people's experiences, right? Which are vastly different than your own. So we'll see. But what I can say with certainty is I'm going to be the heaviest that I've ever been, the most muscular I've ever been, and hopefully all at the same time being in a leaner state than I have been before, right? So it should be, let's say I only get to 270, which was, the heaviest I was on the last bulking phase. But I'm 270 leaner than I was last time, right? So that would mean I've got more muscle tissue on me. Even though I'm not as heavy on the scale, I've still got more accrued beef, which is what I'm mostly concerned about. And that's something I'll just be able to judge by looking in the mirror a little bit more, right? Or comparing, pump shots and being able to look back at all the older lifts and say, oh yeah, shit, this is a very different 270 than that last 270. Oh my goodness. So something along those lines. But for today's arm day, I'm thinking all of triceps and then all of biceps. I've been doing kind of superset style, tricep set, bicep set, back and forth. But the only reason I was doing it like that is because when I'm dieting, by the time I've finished triceps, by the time I've finished biceps, if I did triceps first, my tricep pump is freaking gone. Because I'm not so full of carbs and glycogen and everything else. The pump fleets when you're dieted. But now that I'm a bit more full of carbs and got some proper fluids and electrolytes in my system, the last chest day I was pumped at home. Like I was still residually pumped from the lift, even though it had been like an hour. So I can now kind of focus more so on just totally thrashing my triceps, give them my complete and unfreaking separated attention. And then once they're totally cooked, totally wrecked, I can say, all right, let's switch gears, get some curls started, and then pose down with a fully pumped set of freaking upper limbs. You know what I'm saying? So 8 o'clock, no more discussing. Let's just go make this shit happen. And this lift shouldn't take more than an hour, including the warm up and putting all my stuff down. It's like, what am I gonna do? Maybe 13, 12, or maybe 14 sets at the most. So 14 sets, let's say each set takes 45 seconds, and then I maybe rest 2 minutes in between. 14 times 3 ish. Well, either way, it's not going to take me that long. So let's just get in there.
So what's next?
Get big again. All right, light-ish tricep extension. Perfect start. And I want this to really, really burn at the bottom. Because it's like, I can sit here and do a heavy set with the straight bar and just pump out reps to failure, which I think is a good set. But this is kind of I like saying this is the yin and yang of my style of working out, right? For every nasty heavy set, I probably usually also want a lighter squeezing one, or at least a moderately weighted squeezing one to counter it. And for the most part, that approach is always giving me some pretty wild freaking pumps. So I think I'm on track to something. But let's just get started. Play some Solace by So Camo. Or So, I don't know what it's really said.
Break up.
Yeah.
I saw his birthday.
Yeah.
Buddy? Super shred.
Yoy. Ooh. Oh. Yoy. Ooh. Good boy. You boy. Hey. You boy. Yeah. Oh my gosh, okay. Oh. One more at least. That feels very good though. No. Okay. Oh. Okay, that was too heavy. Let's drop it 5 pounds from what I was doing before and do one more. But this feels very good. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let's do some machine dips next. I think that would be perfect. But, I mean, go back even just a year, but definitely 2 years to the arm days I was doing when I'd use the rope. Those sets look very different. I think I've gotten much better at utilizing this piece of equipment to actually feel my triceps more instead of just, lunk weight around for no reason. I did a feeler rep with the stack. It was way too heavy. So the stack is up to 300. Let's just throw 210 pounds around here in a controlled fashion, at least for the beginning. All right, we're good. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Yeah, no need to go heavier than that. One more. All right. Actually, I'll go one notch heavier, and I'll make this a little more pumpish. So I'm not going to hold the squeeze as much, and in return, I'll do more reps. But I still feel like the overall workload is kind of balanced out because, well, I'll still be thrashing my triceps. All right. There. No. Okay. Oh. Ooh. My triceps have not been this pumped for freaking months. Like, no flexing at all. They feel as tense as they were. Oh, well, you can imagine. Let's do some, let's do something. I don't know what. Give me a second to decide. I really don't think, well, I don't think there's room in my triceps for any more blood. But also with this set, as long as it's really rough, I mean, I'll see how I feel after. But I'm 97% sure if I kill it with this one, then I'll be good to move on. And I can say with a reasonable degree of certainty, any more sets probably wouldn't do me much good at all, right? Because I'm aiming for a peak of maybe efficiency. If I do no sets, I make no gains. If I do one set, way more gains than zero, but I think you're better off doing 2 instead of 1. You're probably better off doing 3 instead of 2. And somewhere around that, I think probably maybe 6 to 9 range. Like if you really hit it, is probably where that peak happens. And it's not like it drops down. You know, I mean, I've done 25 set workouts and I still made progress because I stimulated myself. Well, I stimulated the muscle, but you know, it's kind of sort of the Mike Mentzer logic. Do as much as necessary, but don't overdo it and impede your recovery. But straight bar, or I guess easy curl bar with the stack, and this is going to be a pumpish style set. Really just fill them up with as much blood as possible, then start curling something. Dumbbells, cables, machine, we'll see. Yeah, let me pick a different song. And like in Teardrops by Bring the Horizon. All right. Yeah. 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 Oh man. No. Oh, okay. Let's curl something. All right, biceps will start very similarly to triceps. Light-ish squeezing curls. And when I say squeezing, I think what I really mean is just kind of holding the flex position for a bit longer than normal. Like if I'm doing a set of dumbbell curls, like strapped in kind of heavy, I'm not gonna hold it. I'm just doing the curl kind of quick. I wanna have a momentary flex, but I'm not holding it. So it's just a different kind of fatigue. And I get a lot of comments, or enough where I notice, where it's like, Sam, why would you do a set where you hold the squeeze? The squeeze doesn't contribute to any gains. And I mean, shit, man, maybe you're right. I'm not gonna say, I can't say with certainty that you're not, but I can guarantee that by adding some squeezing sets like this, where I really contract, it does make me feel more pumped, more fatigued, and shit, it's been working so far. Now, I'm not going to say that's the best way to do it, because that's not the only way I do it. But for some sets, dude, don't neglect the squeeze, right? Don't fall for all this stretch position propaganda, right? And go hard no matter what style of set it is. Nasty, super clean and controlled, getting assisted reps, doesn't matter, right? Do a lot of different kinds, but across the board, if you go nuts, that is going to be a factor that will work in your favor. So even though I'm only curling 30s, I'm still going to go freaking crazy. Okay. Wow. One more. Minimum. Same weight, same everything. One thing I am thinking about though is when I hold this handle, I'm not holding it up here, because that would kind of make me curl in a little bit more of like a pronated kind of position, right? So it's like, what's a hammer curl? A lot of forearm. That's not what I'm working for. I'm trying to keep my hands as turned upright as possible. So with these cable curls, I actually hold with the butt of my hand at the bottom of the handle, and I'm almost trying to exert the most force like through my pinky side. So I'm like trying to twist up and out, really, because it lets me get more bicep instead of forearm. But I think it definitely adds to some brachialis activation, because your bicep doesn't just curl, it does also twist a little bit, right? So just a little detailed note there. I'm still, 80% of my effort is on the focus. 80% of my focus is on the effort, but that other 20% is on making sure I'm doing it in that right way. Or, at least a similar distribution as that. All right, come on. All right. Okay. That's enough of that. Let's do some relatively nastier dumbbell curls. Not too nasty, but relative to that slow controlled set, they'll be a little dirtier. The 50s will do just nicely, I believe. That's gonna be all right. I don't think I could have got one more on the left side. Ooh. Yeah. One more of those would be perfect. I cannot express how much different these reps feel now that I'm all freaking full of glycogen. This is nuts. I love being freaking carved up, man. This is gonna be a fun year. Let's beef this setup a little bit. So how I'm going to do that is I think I'll implement some rest pause. So I'll do, pretty much as many as I can. Maybe 10, 12, I don't know. Whatever I can get. And by the time I can't really do at least a good full rep, like maybe not exact muscular failure, because with curls it's tricky, right? I mean, like, where is failure? Is it when I can't get to here? Is it when I can't get to here? Is it when I can't get to here? It's kind of arbitrary, right? But pretty much as hard as I can go. Don't de-strap. Just put the weights down for a second. Give myself a little bit to breathe. 10, 20 seconds. Just enough to get a little bit of extra wind. Stand back up. Do the same thing. And I might even do like a double rest pause. We'll see how it feels. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 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 Okay, that's enough. Holy shit. Oh, that's enough of those. I'd say we're close. We're close to fully pumped, but we're not there yet. Let's pick something else. It very well may be the finisher, or maybe we'll need a few more, but I think I have a certain machine in mind. Simple, squeezing, fatiguing, light-ish machine curls. It's good to throw some machines in now and again, because it keeps you from adding too much body language, right? Now, some sets, I don't mind swinging around a little. If anything, I think it's a good thing, because it lets you push it a little extra hard, right? Because at least if you do it right, you know, some people can overdo it, but if you use body language right, then you can help yourself get to the top of the rep and then ride the negative. So it's almost like you're giving yourself self-assistance for the last few by giving it a little swing, you know. Now, I definitely probably sometimes swing a little too much. I'm working on it, but I think it's totally cool. And same thing that I was talking about, the light squeezing sets versus the heavy nasty ones. This is a good contrast. Everything's supported. The only signals I'm sending from my brain into my body is biceps, biceps, biceps. Ooh, okay. Bicep. Right, all freaking biceps. So let's go nuts here and pose down. I need to bring the tape measure back. You're definitely going to break 21-inch arms this big. That's a freaking bona fide guarantee. I guess a samified guarantee. Hey. Let's post down. We're good. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I'm back in the zone of bulking again. All right, come on. Jump me into focus. Let's try this shit one more time. Mind the technical difficulties. There we go. Yeah, sweet. So, my arms feel monstrous. And this is like a baggy shirt. Like this shirt used to be like a dress on me back when I don't know how light I was when I first bought it. But sleeve wise, we're getting there. I mean, I got room to fill them out, of course, but closer than historically. So let's see what the arms are looking like. Fully inflated of blood and all sorts of other freaking goodness. I need to remake these cutoff tanks though. They're kind of a little on the thin side in the front, a little thinner than my liking. Typically, my rule of thumb is 3-finger width from the collar, cut down like, well, usually to lat height. But this one, I must have been a little overzealous with my chopping. Or maybe it shrunk and it's not my fault at all. Who's to say, really? But let's see how they're looking. Oh yeah, rather meatballish if I say so myself. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Oh. Whew. That's the way to do it. So Arms pumped. Measurement wise, we're definitely in the upper 19s. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we're kind of like right at 20, but maybe I'm just saying that because I feel big. 20-inch arms, even pumped, is still quite the, quite the bit of mass. But I'll make sure to bring the measuring tape for next arm day, and we can get some real, quantitative data. But let's get in the car. There we go. We are officially back to the good times. 30 minutes of cardio in the morning, which, at least based on my current exposure to cardio, basically feels like freaking nothing. Badass lifts, fully pumped like a freaking bike tire, and no post-workout cardio. Just get to come home and chill. Yeah, I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but on a subjective note, yeah, the lifts are much more fun when you're bulked up, or at least when you're fully carbed up. You know what I'm saying? So if I were, I'm sure if I were to go into a maintenance phase, which eventually I will, I'm still gonna probably fluctuate my carb intake, with high days and low days to, make sure I can have certain lifts, certain times of the week be extra carbed up. Like if I know I've got a wild chest day planned for Friday and I'm still trying to maintain, I don't know how many calories I'll be eating, I might go a little lighter throughout the week and then make the day before that chest day a big heavy carb day, like a refeed, so that chest pump ends up being extra wild. But I don't have to worry about that for a while. In my scheme of things, right, my grand plan of muscle accrual, right, of becoming one step closer at a time to a freaking beef monolith. Now I'm distracting myself with these sayings, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, that's for later, right? That's for once I'm kind of closer to final form, as it were, which not there yet, not freaking there yet. And it's not like it's not like I have a problem with that either. Half the freaking fun of it is actually like working towards it. And if I could press a button and instantly gain years of training, size, and experience, like pull a Gone versus Pito, shit, man. Somebody presents me a golden gallon jug, right? Rub it 3 times and freaking Arnold pops out like a genie, and he gives me that option. I'm probably gonna take it. Who wouldn't, right? And who could blame me? But we're not in freaking we're not in the fairy tale. Right? This is real life. So I am more than happy with making some steady progress, and I'm more than happy to be back in this freaking bulking phase. But I'm not going to go too crazy, right? Not going to freaking redline it too quick. Right? I'm going to ease into it. I'm going to steadily ease into it. And at the end, I'm sure I am going to be sick of food, because that's kind of just what happens. You bulk for long enough, you realize you've had enough, and you say, all right, I want to freaking diet down. I am sick of walking around with a full stomach and just sweating all the time. Oof. And right now I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum, where I'm tired of dieting, and I'm ready to actually get some grub in my system. So right now is essentially the honeymoon phase of this bulk. Totally freaking easy. I'm just eating at essentially maintenance, and maintenance as in like an amount of food which I'm hungry for, and it's putting me at a full maintenance-ish weight, right? Because at my deficit calorie intake, right, I was burning pounds per week. Actually, probably closer to a pound a week or so. But over the course of time, pounds of body fat were being used as fuel because I wasn't eating enough food, and my body had to say, all right, shit, man, I better start using some internal storage. That's kind of the whole logic of the body fat burning process. So now that I'm eating enough food to steadily gain weight, I'm back at full, right? So when I'm dieted down, this is my depleted weight, and now I'm officially back at what is just about my full, new, carved up, watery, And I say watery as in just like I've got more water on my frame right now. This is my starter weight. So I'm assuming that I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning at about 250, maybe 251. You know, we'll have to see. But over the course of the next week, that's going to kind of fluctuate. But as these weeks pass, I want to start to see a steady incline, right? A steady rate of progress upward in terms of my body weight, which I want to make sure is primarily contractile tissue, right? Freaking muscle, right? Beef your forearms, beef your arms, bigger chest, thicker legs, just bigger everything, you know? That's kind of my whole goal. So I think, for these first few months, month and a half, 2 months, that is going to be no problem at all. But as time progresses, right, the longer you bulk, the harder it is to bulk because you got to eat more food to keep gaining weight, right? The further you get from your baseline, the more kind of diligence you're going to need to maintain that progress, right? I mean, it's not too hard to hike up, you know, maybe 100 meters or so, but if you climb a high enough freaking mountain, you got to bring an oxygen tank. You know, you got to bring extra gear. You got to be really on your game. So that's kind of the tricky part about bulking, right? But by gradually increasing my calories, gradually increasing the food calorie load, and maintaining the my daily cardio, which is kind of just going to help my whole system keep moving food in and out. Not going to make me feel so winded on my leg days and my other training days. Plus all the other benefits that at least stimulating your cardiovascular system is going to give you. Shit, man. It's just the way to do it, right? But these first 2 months is this is the fun part. And it's still going to be fun later too, but it will become more challenging, right? It's like I think I'm pretty good at manipulating my body composition, right? I mean, I can historically bulk pretty well and diet down pretty well. But at the end of them, it is pretty hard. You know, like it's not just a totally passive, like, oh, you know, yip-de-doo, I'm bulking. Like I am going to have to really be diligent about making sure I eat a certain amount of meals throughout the day at certain intervals so that I can hit that calorie load by the end and actually be on track, you know? Because right now to eat 3,000, 3,500 calories, I mean, I'll just have a freaking 1,000 calorie breakfast if I, you know, give myself a big bowl of oats, eggs, and, you know, some toast with butter. Like, it's like nothing, right? But, you know, later on down the line, once that number is 5,000, 5,500, you know, whatever it ends up being, which it doesn't, I don't mean that number specifically. I just mean an amount of food that's hard for you to eat. You got to make sure that your calories per hour is on track. You know, so let's say you got a regular day schedule. You start eating at 7 and you stop eating at, you know, maybe 10, right? Like that's your window of your day that you can basically have food go into your system. So 7 to 10, that's what? 15 hours? Yeah, you get a 15-hour window. So let's say for you, your bulking calories are 3,000 per hour. You know, you're eating maybe 200 grams of protein, 80 grams of fats, and 80 grams, I can't do the math, but an amount of carbs that would add up to 3,000 calories, right? So, you know, spread it between those macros, but 15 hours of your day, you're eating 3,000 total at the end. So what does that mean? That means you got to be chowing down on about 200 calories an hour, right? And if you're not eating at that rate, then you're setting yourself up for failure, because anybody who's bulked knows what it's like to, you sit down in your kitchen at like 8 o'clock at night, you're supposed to eat this much food, you've really only eaten this much so far, and now you got a freaking dilemma, because what are you supposed to do? Eat a 2,000 calorie dinner in one plate and then go to bed? Or a 3,000 calorie dinner if you're really late calorie wise? I mean, shit, man, that's not cool. Because for me at least, that totally, like, if I'm irresponsible enough to not get my food down by then, it totally screws me. Because I either stay up late trying to eat that food, and then my sleep schedule's off, and I'm not hungry for breakfast because I just ate, like, you know, 6 hours ago or something. Or I go to bed earlier, miss those meals, wake up like 5 pounds lighter because I didn't get that food in, and then it kind of throws off my game because it's like, as soon as I slow down on my calorie intake, in a bulking context at least, my body essentially says, oh, sweet freaking relief, no more food for me. And then it's hard for me to build back up. I mean, I've had bulks that have really hit solid plateaus because I had like 2 days in a row where I was, eating like, I don't know how many, 4,500 calories minimum. And on those 2 days, maybe I was busy with something, or I was traveling, or I was like sick, maybe I only got 2,000 in each day. And then it just throws off my momentum for the bulk. And I'm like, crap, man, what is, I can't eat, I can't bring myself back to that level of intake, and I got to cancel it potentially prematurely. So there's just a lot of angles at play is all I'm trying to say there. So just make sure once you start bulking, keep yourself in a steady, gradual incline or increase. I got chest on my mind. Keep a gradual, steady increase of calories over time. Don't let yourself skip too many days of meals, because all you're doing is scrapping your own gains. I know there's a lot of characters out there who say they're bulking, but since they don't really track their meals or their calories, the scale doesn't go up. So even if you feel like you're eating a lot of food, or you feel like you might be eating some junk food and some treats too, and you're like, yeah, I'm bulking up, man, I'm bulking. Man, the scale tells all. So if you're still 190 after 3 months of bulking, quote unquote, or if you know someone who's 190 after 6 months of a locked in winter arc, I'm not trying to judge. I'm just saying objectively, you're not eating enough food to facilitate weight gain. It's potential your training might not be hard enough, or you might not be consistent enough. But assuming you train decently hard, you recover, like you're not getting 3 hours of sleep a night, and you're pretty consistent, like what you're doing for the most part, you're a standard gym bro. Yeah, man, increasing your calorie intake, that is going to be the ticker. That's going to push you over the limit into weight gain. And everybody who I've ever talked to who has a macro tracker on their phone and actually tracks their stuff, they know what I'm talking about. And they we kind of have like a little insider kind of laugh at anybody who doesn't, not in like a judging kind of way, but like, oh yeah, so you get it. Anytime I talk to anybody who's lost over 50 pounds in like a 6-month period, the first thing I say every time, it's like, oh yeah, you know what you're talking about. You've been doing the cardio, you've been tracking your calories, because there's no way to make that progress if you don't. And it might seem like I'm trying to lock you into just a one-track approach of like, oh, well, flexible dieting and Atkins and keto. Look, man, the amount of food that you eat, guaranteed 100%, basically no exceptions, will facilitate either muscle gain, size gain, weight gain, or weight loss, which would be primarily fat loss. So that's my ender for tonight. But tomorrow will either be a rest day or potentially, it'll either be leg day or potentially a rest day. I'll see how I feel. Because, I'm sure my arms are going to be thrashed tomorrow, but my legs are feeling pretty fresh. So we'll see. Just because one muscle group is still sore, if the one that I'm about to hit is, feels fresh and strong, then I've got no problem hitting legs with, jelly arms, because my legs are fresh. But that's a tomorrow problem. Until then, I'm going to focus on getting some grub in my system and freaking passing out. I wouldn't be surprised if I break a 10-hour sleep tonight. We'll see. I've been having crazy dreams. I think I've really been getting into REM. I got to start putting the Apple Watch on again so I can see those units getting tracked. It's kind of cool to see that data if you've never done it before. But either way, I will see you for whatever tomorrow brings on day 2 of this bulking phase, which I'm not sure what I'm going to title it yet, so I guess I guess if you clicked on this video, you already know. So I'll make that decision later.